Unit 3, page 34. Listening. Exercise 2. You will hear part of a radio phone-in program on the subject of people's use of digital technology. For questions 1 to 7, choose the best answer, A, B, or C. You now have 1 minute to look at part 4.
In this evening's programme, we're starting with a subject which has got many of you worried. We'll be discussing young people and digital technology. It's something that worries not only parents but young people themselves. On our studio panel, we have Evan Matthews, a child psychologist, Joanne Carter, a secondary school head teacher, and Liz Winslet, who has 3 teenage children and is a student counsellor. Our first caller this morning is James Benson. What is your question, James?
Thank you. I'd like to ask you what you think about my parents' recent behaviour. They're getting more and more obsessed about the amount of time I spend with what they call my virtual friends.
Hi, James. Can you tell me who these friends are?
They're mainly people I've met on social networking sites.
And how much contact do you have with them?
Well, on a normal day, I'll update my status as soon as I wake up. Then I'll check to see if anyone sent me any messages on my mobile.
And how long does that usually take?
About 5 minutes, if I have to reply to any messages.
What about later in the day?
Well, if I don't have to go to college, I'll spend a couple of hours chatting to friends in the morning, and maybe another 2 in the evening.
That does seem rather excessive.
I suppose so, but it's what I'm used to. But actually, what Mum and Dad really object to is seeing me texting my friends, especially at mealtimes. They say it's rude and antisocial.
And what do you think?
I just think it's completely normal for people of my age.
How many texts do you send a day?
About 50 or 60.
OK. And do you understand why your parents are getting so annoyed?
Not really. It's just a bit of fun. I think adults take these things too seriously.
Can I ask you, James, do you have any other interests outside your virtual world?
No, not now. I used to play tennis with my dad most weekends, but he always seems too busy these days.
OK, James, I think we get the idea of what your life is like. I'd now like to ask our panel to comment on what they've heard. Can I start with you, Evan?
OK, James. I have to say I have great sympathy with your parents and completely understand their point of view. They feel they're losing you to your virtual friends. My advice to you would be to spend less time on your phone and try to spend at least a couple of hours a day when you're not at college doing things with real people.
Thank you. Joanne?
Here's what I suggest, James. First, I think you should accept that you have an addiction. Then I suggest you try to cut back your contact with digital friends by a few minutes every day, so that by this time next year your life is in more balance. Try to get back to playing tennis with your dad like you used to, and try to spend more time with real people. You'll soon get used to it. You won't lose any genuine friends, and you won't have your parents nagging you all the time.
Thanks. And lastly, Liz Winslet.
Right, James. I imagine your addiction is probably a very temporary one. I would guess that in a month or two you'll get bored with your virtual life and just slip back into your old life. That's if my own son's experience is anything to go by. In other words, I think you're going through a phase.
Thank you all very much. And thank you, James, for your intriguing question.
Thanks.